Hello everyone, this is Renard, and I'm going today to talk about a topic that I feel is important. It's about picks, of course, and why you should pick. You should learn how to pick during the drafting phase, uh, even when you are playing in ranked, either solo or party ranked. Why you should do good picks and how you can make them. How to learn how to make good picks. So why am I doing this video? It's because I have friends. I play with a lot of different people, and countless of them think that if you play a hero well enough, you will do well, and you can go up in ranks, and that's partly true. But the thing is, they think that you can do almost any pick you want and you can win just through skill alone. So of course the argument works if you take Virtus Pro, they go into a game against a team of legends and they all just random and end up like with anti-mage roaming, IO carry, lion mid, silencer of flame, all very bad picks that will just put them at a disadvantage during pro matches, but since they are way better than a team or full of legend, they will win, of course, just because they are really good and they play really good Dota. And in fact, I have played with a pro player. He is a mid laner, and he would, before there were all these update on the random system, it was during the old random system, so he would random between all 100 and plus heroes, and he would get a random hero and he would just go mid. And since he was a pro player playing at our rank, we were legend or ancients. It was this rank approximately, so 3k 4k, and he was just destroying the mid lane. He would go mid with, Shadow Shaman he did once, and he just destroyed the mid lane. So and he continued throughout the game. It wasn't just during the early game, but it was also during the mid and the late game. So yeah, he was a pro player, he was a mid player, so he went mid and just destroyed everyone in his way. But the thing is, he was a pro player, he was playing at a level that is way under his own level, so it was really easy for him. Now, what you need to know is that when you are playing ranked, you are always matched with people who are close to your rank, close to your skill. Okay, so the scenario goes from a 6-4 matchup to a 4-6 matchup approximately, meaning that a 6-4 matchup means that if you do 10 games with both teams, both teams competing against each other, you do 10 games, you will win 6 and lose 4. And if you go 4-6 matchup, you will win 4 and lose 6. So most of the time it will be 6-4, 5-5, or 4-6 matchup. Okay, so you have your chances. The enemy has its chances to win. It's not set at the beginning of the game. It's not just a free game for anyone. So what? Well, you will be matched against people who are at the same skill as you. So you need to up your chances a lot. So that means playing well. So training with heroes, playing with heroes not just go random. For example, I never played Broodmother. I would not pick her if I want to win. Of course, even if it's a good pick, you shouldn't pick something you don't know how to play. But if you hard counter the enemy with an invoker, but no one in your team knows how to play invoker, of course don't pick this hero. Now, you can't go and just play what you want either. For example, I have a friend who plays Earth Spirit very well. He's very good with it. He's probably the best Earth Spirit player I've ever seen. But the thing is, he plays it everywhere. He would play it as a carry, as a mid, of course as a roaming, but he play it as a support, as an offlaner. He would play 5 roles as an Earth Spirit, and that's a bad thing. I don't think he does this in lobbies with friends, of course, so it's not like he does it in ranked. But if he does this in ranked, he would end up with a rank that is way lower than what he deserves. So now, I'm gonna give you an example of this, and it's this game. So I'm playing the Rubik here. I hope it loads quickly enough, but well, I go to the scoreboard and it will just show. So I played Rubik. With Disruptor, we were second and third pick, so nothing to really counter, and nothing to really pick. Disruptor and Rubik are both really good supports that are in the meta. It's decent enough. And the problem is, of course, after Bristleback is picked, so we are lacking control. The only control we have right now is, of course, my telekinesis, and that's it. You have the ultimate of Disruptor, which is really good, but it's not a hard control. It won't be really good, for example, against Ursa, which will be the main hero, the hero who made the win happen, as you can see from the score. So after that, so there's a Bristleback pick, and then there's the Ember Spirit. Ember Spirit gives a root, which is decent, but not good enough. And of course, the picks were only Witch Doctor, Puck, and Crystal Maiden. So Ember Spirit cannot counter anyone, and he doesn't know if he will be countered or not. So he can pick Ember Spirit. It's not a bad pick per se, but there could have been better picks. Now the thing is, they pick Odie and Ursa. So right now you see all of the 5 picks on the enemy team. So what do you do? Well, you have Ursa. We only have 1 hard control. We have 1 root. So in order to beat Ursa, you need to control him a lot. You can't just let him run around and let him just attack your team, just destroy your supports or your carries. He's really strong. He has strong auto attacks, but the thing is, he's easily kiteable. If you have stun, big slows, you can easily kite him, and he won't do much during a team fight. And if you run him over at the beginning of the game and throughout the mid game, he won't have enough money to buy a Black King bar, especially at our ranks. He might not be able to recover through farming. He might not be able to find the farm, so he would just die and die and die, and it would be having an easy game. But the thing is, Ember Spirit marked mid, of course, that's obvious. And here, our guy here marked easy lane. And what did he do? He picked Sniper, as you can see, as the last pick. Here you can see it's the 10th pick. It's after the Ursa and the OD. So now they change the lanes. Ember Spirit goes carry, Sniper goes mid. Of course, Ember Spirit carry is not as good as Ember mid. And Sniper is, of course, having a good time against the OD. He kills him 4 or 5 times mid. And that's it. He just wrecks the OD, but after that, the Ursa gets a Shadow Blade, and he always jumps on Sniper. And that's what I said before he picked Sniper. I said the Ursa is going to destroy you to not pick sniper, he picked sniper anyway, and he got destroyed. So you see how it is important to pick well. I'm going to show you this example with through this game. So right now we are pushing the tier 3. We weren't able to push throughout the game. Like, I think we only got the tier 3 towers, we didn't even get the racks because we weren't able to get up onto the high ground. We have here our Bristleback, who isn't nearly tanky enough, especially against an Ursa, who has a Silver Edge, remember, and of course we have a good defense, but in the end they just went for Roche, which wasn't there at the time, but they went for Roche. They got Aegis, Cheese, Refresher Shard, and they rolled over us and we couldn't do anything in the end. So right now I want you to watch. So we have Witch Doctor and Parkour in position. OD is dead, he doesn't have a buyback. Crystal Maiden is getting healed at the fountain, and Ursa, he's tipping at the shrine. Okay, so we know by now that he has a Shadow Blade, even a Silver Edge. We placed a Sentry Ward, so we know that he can come at any time. And watch what happens here. Here's Ursa. He will Silver Edge, of course, and he gets onto the sniper. Now, let's just slow this down, okay? So we know what he's doing. I'm here planting a ward, or I don't remember. I was I think I was looking for a blink in and just trying to get someone, so I was there, but maybe a bad positioning from me. But the thing is, now they are attacking. So of course the Ursa is here. He does a lot of initial damage while the Crystal Maiden roots the sniper. So there's nothing we can do. Like, I would, even if I was there to telekinesis him, we wouldn't have the damage. There was a root, there was Puck, of course, coming. He could have used Euros, for example, on sniper while the Ursa was stunned. There was a Cask who was coming, of course. So there is nothing we can do at the time to save our sniper. You know, we do not have items, like we do not have 4 staves, which might be a mistake, but then again, I am the only one who could build 4 staff because of the farm I had, and it wouldn't have been enough to save him. Even if he was facing this way, he would have still have gotten hit, and even if he has a Hurricane Pike, yeah, he would have ended pretty badly. There was also a BKB on the bear, so yeah. Oh no, not at that time. Not at that time. There wasn't a BKB at that time. He ended with a BKB, but there wasn't a BKB at that time. So maybe. But then again, yeah. You see how the sniper just melted, and instantly now the fight is bad, because even without the OD, we aren't able to kill them, to even kill the Ursa. So that's the first problem, and that's the main problem we had throughout the game. We weren't able to kill Ursa because he would jump on the sniper every time and he would just kill him. And since we did not have enough control for him, you know, there was only my telekinesis, and maybe if I stole, I don't know, Cask or the Frostbite, maybe something else, but yeah, and the root from the spirits too. So now that I gave this example, you see why picking just something you're comfortable with doesn't work. He had 12 deaths, and you can see that 7 of them were from the Ursa alone. So yeah, there's nothing else you can say. Like, if he picked something tankier, if he picked something with more control, like for example, one that would have been really good would have been Chaos Knight, would have been pretty decent. Sven would not have been really bad, it would have been decent. you have an Ursa against you, so you can go for a Pugna maybe. It's a little out there, but it works. You have a Disruptor, you can go for a Magical Emerald Spirit, so maybe it could work. So you see how it's important to pick accordingly to your team and to the enemy team, because you can end up in situations like this. And remember, the enemy is just as good as you. They won't. Valve had years to perfect the matchmaking system. I mean, they perfected it. It's not perfect, but you will almost always find people who are just as good as you. They might be having a bad day or a good day, so you can't predict exactly how they will react, but they have the same skill as you. So now, let's say that we are in the environment of you are going into ranked, either solo or party ranked, and you do not have any booster account, any smurf, or any cheater on either side of the teams, you know. So these are the conditions for a normal ranked game that you would play every day, with either team having a good chance of winning. So now, what do you need to do? You are getting in the drafting phase. You are having your picks. So now you need to get an early advantage. The early advantage being having good picks. So of course one day you will get outdrafted, even if you are a really good drafter, even if you know what picks to do, even if you tell your team you should pick this, and they do accordingly, and you are really good at drafting. Even then, you cannot be 100% sure to not be counterpicked, because you have first picks, there are first picks, last picks, and all that. So the enemy can outdraft you. It will happen, but you need to put as much effort as possible into the drafting phase, because it's essential, it's crucial. Here the drafting phase just changed the outcome of the game, because the OD was really bad. He was wrecked mid, the puck was decent at most, same for Witch Doctor. The Crystal Maiden was pretty good, and the Ursa was decent, but he was not the best, he was just doing his job. That's the main thing. So we could have won if it wasn't for the really bad pick. So yeah, now we are in the drafting phase. What do you do? Because I'm giving here reasons, you know, to learn how to draft. And if you know people who are like this, who are just, yeah, I can go with skill alone, I'll just pick Lion mid, I'm really good with it, so I'll just go with skill, and just try to show him this video and what might be the consequences of his picks. So, and I also saw in Reddit yesterday, there was a guy who made a post about how Night Stalker core was actually good, and I just I cringed through my teeth, because I was like, yeah, you have decent win rates, but imagine what win rate you would have if you were as good on a normal core pick, a Sven, a CK. I don't know if he played it mid or carry, but it could be anti-mage. Lina, if you pick as mid, OD, you know, classic picks for their roles. So yeah, imagine how good he would be if he did normal picks, you know. So yeah, so now you are in the drafting phase. So what do you do? Of course, you need, first of all, you need to know what roles everyone does. So of course, if you are doing solo ranked, you can't know for sure at first, but you need to have a support, a carry, things like that. So I'm talking here. I'm talking to the 5 guys who are playing solo or party ranked, you know, and who are trying to get good positions. So of course you will try to get the position you are the best at, and you should always having at least 2 positions you are good at. For example, as you can see, I'm position 4-3, so I can either go roaming or offlane. Those are 2 possibilities, but yeah, it's pretty good to have at least two roles that you are good or at least decent at. It will help a lot when you are playing solo ranks or when you are getting into a party rank, and you might not have the same roles. There was once I was in a party of 5, and we were all support or roaming players, and it was pretty hard, and we lost the game really hard because we were not having the roles we were supposed to have. So anyway, you first decide your roles, okay? So there is a post 5, a post 4, 3, 2, and 1, and you need to know precisely those roles. Then you pick position 5 and position 4 as your first 2 pick. So if you have, for example, if you are having, for example, the first pick, you will take a position 4 or a position 5. It won't give out much of your draft, and if the support or the roamer is countered, it's not that big of a deal. If you pick a Dazzle and the enemy picks an Axe, it's not that big of a deal. Okay? What you do not want is your cores to be countered, because as you can see, if your core is countered, you do not have his damage during the team fight, because he will get killed pretty easily, or controlled easily, things like that. So you will not be able to use his damage. As a roamer, or as a support, you're just here to help your team, help your cores survive, and help in the team fight. That's the only thing you do. So if you die, it's not that big of a deal. Now, you will take kind of a general approach to your picks, meaning that you will go for easy supports or roamings. Okay, easy supports, for example, are Witch Doctor, Disruptor. Where is he? Is here, for example. Dark Willow is pretty good. It's not easy to play, but it's traditional. I would say, traditional picks that you can rely on. You won't be like, okay, so I need to do this, I need to get this item first, I need to get to this level to be useful. So of course, like, for example, I do a Weaver roaming, but I never pick it when I do ranked, or rarely when I am doing a special draft. For example, I was playing Weaver roaming with the help of Vengeful Spirit. We were both going on lanes and taking away the armor of the enemy, and we just destroy them. So if you have a special draft, of course you can go with it if you are playing accordingly, and if you are okay with your team is okay with your draft. So that's not a problem if you are doing picks that are kind of out there with, for example, Weaver roaming, simply because, well, you can do it. If your team is okay with it, there's no problem with it. And if you are if you are getting picks that are good with your Weaver roaming, for example, it can work pretty well. But then again, you have to think of your team, that your team wants to win too, so they need also to know how to pick, and not to let their friends just pick whatever they want, like Meeple roaming, for example, or Weaver roaming. Okay, now that I said that, so good position 5 with Doctor, Willow, sometimes Dazzle can be really good. Crystal Maiden, especially in lower ranks, she's really good. She's a really good support. At ranks like Archon and under, she's one of the best support you can have. Okay. She won't be killed very easily because people won't focus her. She has strong spells. The enemy team won't necessarily focus her when she uses her ultimate. So yeah, really good pick for Archon or Under. So position 4 is pretty good. Sand King, as you can see, I spam him a lot because I'm good with it, first of all, and second of all, since the people I tend to play with are not experts at drafting, they often draft teams without any stun, for example, without any control, without any initiation. So I have to pick Sand King in order to have stun, initiation, magical damage potentially during the team fight, wave shoving, because Sand King is really good at just depushing lane defending. You just have to do one hit on the melee creep, stun on all creeps, and then one hit on the distance creep, and you kill the whole wave of creep. Yeah. So you need to do 3 things and you just kill the whole wave. It's really fast and it's really good and it helps you farms a lot. It's also a greedy position 4, so you can have stuff to help your team, for example Lotus Orb, etc. For stuff. So yeah, Sand King is one of the best position 4 right now if you want a default position 4. Decent one is Tusk if you play him well. I played him a lot, so I'm really good with it, but if you're good with it, go for it. You know, if you know that your team is going to draft some stuns, some engage, things like that, go for it. Elder Titan is decent. It sets up the fight. Clockwork, even though I don't play it, it can be good. Bounty Hunter, it helps your team farm a lot, and especially if you have a team that love to play heroes like Slark, Luna, that snowball pretty hard, pretty evenly. If they have the right amount of farm, Bounty Hunter is your man. So yeah, that's, and Rubik, of course, if you are good with Rubik, if you know spells, how to use different spells and things like that, it's pretty good, especially with the new aura that takes away the magical resistance. Sorry. So you have kind of an idea. Now that you have supports and robbers, you can see what they drafted. So now I forgot to say one important thing. Never ever pick your core as first picks. So there are a few reasons behind that. So first of all, cores are the best counters. Okay, so as it was shown here, for example, if they had the last pick, if the Dire had the last pick, the best counter to the Sniper Ember 2-hour lineup generally is Ursa. If they had the last pick, the Ursa is the best. There's no support who can counter those 5 guys. There are no supports. Like sorry, maybe you could go for a Willow or something like that. That could be pretty annoying, but the best hero against this lineup is Ursa, 100%. Sven would have been decent, but it would have been hard to jump on Sniper. Something else who can easily jump, like a Slark, for example, could have been decent. But Ursa was clearly the best pick to go. So picking your cores first means that you have this counter picking potential just thrown away. Like, yeah, you just throw away your counter picking potential and you give it to the enemy team. Now, let's say that they picked Sniper and Ember Spirit at first. They could have gone with Ursa just after that, and the game was set. You know, it would have been the perfect solution for the Sniper and Ember Spirit picks, were the first picks, you know. So never ever go for first pick core. So now you might ask, why do pro players do that? Why do sometimes you see we have seen Tiny being first picked, Medusa first pick when it was meta, Terrorblade sometimes, Weaver, especially with Fnatic, EE being Torrenby being really good Weaver player, for example. We've seen Morphling, if I remember well. So the thing is that they have a lot of bans that are possible. In all pick, of course, I'm talking about all pick. I'm not talking about captain's mode. In all pick, you have a set amount of bans, and those bans are also random because the enemy team might, for example, I always ban Techies because I hate Techies. I had to play with it or play against it, and it's more of a of a mental thing, you know. I have a bad opinion of Techies, and I don't want anyone to play against or with it. Just yeah, it's just like that. So I am like that, and I will always ban Techies. Is it a good ban? Because is it a good ban against what I'm going to pick, what my team is going to pick? No, of course not. It's a very bad ban, but yeah, it's a ban. I barely know how to play against Techies because I don't want to play against it, of course, and it's hard to counter such a hero who has such a different style from the other heroes if you do not train hard against him, and yeah, if you do not know exactly what you're doing. So that's a decent ban because it would be pretty annoying to play against it, and sometimes annoyance is something that can make you lose, just because you lose your temper and you just scream, and I don't know, you just scream at your teammates like stop doing that or something like that. You build salt onto yourself and you stop playing decently, and that's what happens to a lot of players. Now, of course, what I said, bans are random. So what do you need to do? You need to pick well, you should not pick calls first, as I said, since you cannot ban, for example, let's say that you want to pick Medusa and you do not ban you try to ban Anti-Mage, but he's not banned, you do not pick Medusa as the first pick. Or even if you pick Medusa, there are other really good picks against it. There is Phantom Lancer, despite what everyone might say. Phantom Lancer is really good with all the mana burst it can have. Weaver is decent, and generally offlaners that can do well against Medusa, they are rare, but they are here. So yeah, you never pick your core first. I had, for example, I did a small tournament with some random guys I was put with, and the guy was, one of the guys was the mid laner, and he was always saying, pick me Shadowfiend first. I was the captain, and I would never pick the Shadowfiend first. The game we picked Shadowfiend first, we lost it pretty heavily because they countered it and he wasn't able to do anything in the middle lane, and yeah, basically he just cried for his Shadowfiend mid, and I gave it to him and he was hard countered. Yeah, guess what? We're first pick, so they had 2 picks to counter the Shadowfiend. So yeah, it was pretty bad, and I was pretty tilted that game too. That's and during the tournament too, because he was always annoying with that. So I just gave it to him. I was like, yeah, okay, you want to go? Sure, prove to us how good you are with it, and didn't disappoint. But so yeah, you do not pick core first. Yeah, there are ways to be countered, and you throw your counter potential away. So now that you made your 2 support pick, you go for an offlaner, and your cores accordingly. So if you had something that can easily counter the support and will not be countered a lot, or you might have some other picks after that can counter the counter, but that happens. You can go for it. You can go for a core, like a carrier or mid laner. You can go for it, but generally now, what I will say about offlaners. Now, of course, offlane is the hardest position in Dota. You are mostly solo. I would say that there is another thing I want to point out. Pro players are more and more playing the dual lane, the 2-1-2 setup, where they go dual offlane just to try to win the offlane. But the thing is, as players, even in divine ranks, going roam instead of a dual offlane is almost always the best answer, because the teams are preparing against the roamer and they know where he's might come from, etc. So they won't get killed that easily. However, in ranked games, you are playing against people who are the same rank than you, and who are not professionally trained, who are not trained against you. That's the most important part. They do not know you, so they do not know how you roam. They do not know what wards you are putting down, things like that. So they cannot prepare against your roam. So if you are good at roaming, the surprise from your roaming potential is important, and you can do a lot of kills fairly easily. So that's why I'm talking about an offlane that goes solo, because that's the best meta in in ranked games. So heroes that can easily go solo, you have Abaddon. Axe is decent right now, and I would say that the fact that it gives a hard control even on BKBs is pretty important. Heroes like, for example, PA, which is picked a lot, are really weak against Axe. So Axe is decent. Brewmaster, if you know how to play it well, go for it. Bristleback is decent. It can't be countered by a Viper pick, so always be aware of that. But good Bristleback players can get away from even from a good Viper. You know, they can position themselves in a way that a Viper do not get him, but someone else is getting the Viper treatment. Okay, instead of Bristleback, and he can just roam around. But Tidehunter, really important because of his dispel, natural dispel. It makes his ultimate being almost 100% guaranteed to go into the team fight. So Tidehunter, be aware of him. A really good hero as an offlaner. What else do we have? I see a lot of Pangos. It's a really hard hero to use, especially in the team fights, so I would not recommend him as a basic, let's say, pick as a position 3. What else do we have? Underworld, pretty decent. Can roll over the lane. Do not have much to say about it, but yeah, if you are a decent Underworld player, might be useful. Omni Knight, if you are a good Omni Knight player, you would just destroy the enemy team. So pick him if you are a good Omni Knight player. Not Phoenix. Phoenix is not a very good offlane hero right now, and if you pick him as a position 3, you are almost sure that the enemy will pick either Troll or Ursa, and you won't be able to put your egg down. If you are the last pick, and you see that they have picked things like Punya, I don't know, Ember, you have Punya, Ember against you, Tiny, you have something like Kunkka, things that cannot destroy the egg, just go for it, okay? Phoenix can be really good, but only if you are having the last pick. Okay, be aware of that. And that's almost all for the offlane heroes. So of course you do not go for, like, I've seen people go for a silencer offlane, things like that. Do not go for weak heroes who have no escape mechanism. Never go for that. So Centaur, Beastmaster is kinda hard to play, but you can try to play him if you are good enough with him, like Axe. Those are heroes that are not easily countered and are really useful, okay? So always keep that in mind. In pubs, in ranked games especially, like, always have a utility hero. It's the best you can have as an offlaner, not a core that, you know, not a Riki, for example, not something you would see sometimes from pro players like Faceless. You know, Faceless is kind of utility based, but you need the picks behind it. You need to be able to be useful without picks, without your team doing some picks, because you never know if you are solo ranked. You never know what the rest of the team is going to pick. So going for things like Centaur, Brewmaster, Axe, that would be really useful in team fights. Those picks are really good at the offlane just because of that. Just because they will almost always be useful in the team fight, whatever the picks are. Okay. Even as a party ranked, you might not have your team go like, oh yeah, I'm going to follow your picks. Yeah, with our offlane, well, I would take something that is going to front lane, like a Sven or Chaos Knight. You go Weaver as the offlane, where your friend will go Draw Ranger, and then you have also a Sniper, and then the enemy will pick Ursa and Chaos Knight, for example, or Chaos Knight and Invoker, for something like that, and you get just destroyed. Yeah. So yeah, pick something utility based. Okay. Now, both cores, like position 1 and position 2. I'll go for the mid laner first, and say that if you are, you know, do not go for Kunkka. Kunkka is one of the hardest mid laner. People say that, oh, it's easy, you just go for, I don't know, Shadowblade, and then you go for Crystallis, things like that. You go for the damage from your Wrath Click, and trying to one-shot the whole enemy team with your crits. But the thing is, with Kunkka mid, you do not use X mark the spot. I see a lot of players doing this mistake. They go mid and they up X mark the spot, and they always engage with that. Of course, you never do that. You are going to get a lot too close from the enemy. What you want is just use your spell. You are outside of the team fight, you use your spells, and when the enemies are caught in your spell, you go in and just ram them with your Tidebringer. I was trying to remember the name of the spell. So you just use Torrent and Ghost Ship. Like, X marks the spot is only against heroes who are trying to get away. You can use it, but when you're going on a team fight, you use Torrent and a Ghost Ship first. You do not want to have the classic roaming Kunkka that will use X marks the spot just to annoy the enemy carry and to be sure that he puts his Torrent and Ghost Ship. You just want to just put that down into the team fight, hit something, and then go in with your Shadowblade, Tidebringer, and one-shot everyone. So Kunkka is harder to play than the roaming one. Kunkka mid is harder to play than the roaming one, so do not pick him as a mid laner. I've seen people who were decent with Kunkka who did pretty bad in the middle lane just because, well, even if they were good mid laners, they did pretty bad in the middle lane just because they didn't know how to play Kunkka mid. Okay, so what are really good picks for the mid lane? What could we go with here? Sorry, I'm doing a video. Not right now, maybe after. Medusa is decent if you are going for the late game. If you see that the enemy does not have late game, you can go for Medusa. It's not that bad. but Shadow Fiend, if you are a good Shadow Fiend, like if you are a good mid with a special hero, you can go for Shadow Fiend or Invoker. Okay, Invoker, you need to be really precise. You know, you need to not like just throw tornado. Like I have a friend who just go tornado and just leave it like that. Even we are going to kill the guy and he just tornadoes him and the guy can. Oh, it was against the TA. The TA had her shield, and he would tornado with his Invoker. Even though we were hitting the Templar and she could not get away, and we were going to chip through her shield and just hit her, and she would not be able to get away. And then he comes with the tornado, and of course, since she has the shield, she blocks the damage and then just blinks away. So never engage with a tornado as an Invoker, or rarely if you are doing a solo kill. So Shadow Fiend, Invoker, if you are good with them, you can go with them. Lina. Who else could there be? Sorry, I'm trying to think about it. Zeus can be decent, but then again, Wind Ranger now is pretty good if you know how to play her. So right now, as you might, your mid. There's no like, now that I'm thinking about it, there's no good 100% good mid laner, and same for the carry. Like, you are the last two picks. You really need to pick accordingly to what the enemy just picked. Now that I think about it, it's stupid that I try to give some good mid laner or things like that. Yeah, just go roll with something good that the enemy that will beat the enemy team. Like for example, if they do not have stuns, you go for Queen, Storm. If they do not have something to catch you, you go Tinker. If you are missing some controls, some hard controls, go for Invoker. If you want some really, really big damage output, go for Shadow Fiend or Templar. Instant damage output, things like that. So yeah, for the mid laner and the carry, you can go Luna if you want to end early with a good farm, and if you are sure you can secure her some farm, you can go Gyro if you know how to play him decently. You can go PA if there's no Axe or high mobility hero, or any hard stuns that could potentially be a problem for you, or magic damage, magic burst. You can go Rev King. Rev King is a really good, pretty good hero as in ranked. So yeah, you do accordingly to what the enemy is picking. So I cannot teach you all of the intricacies of how to pick your two cores, because there are so many possibilities that I cannot just have to. It would be a 1 hour video if I did that. So, or even more. But yeah. So, in conclusion, you really need to learn how to pick. It's really important. Watch some pro players do it. Watch, how people draft in their games. What are the win rates of some heroes against each other? To understand what the counters of some heroes are. If you are, for example, doing pretty bad against a Slark, try to watch games where you were beaten by a Slark. Try to see what his best counters are, things like that, for example. But always try for the best. Best heroes in your team, the best lineup. If you have a friend that knows only how to play one hero, for example, try to draft around him if he's pretty good. And if he gets countered, well, try to put him, like, into onto another hero. Like, you need to be able to play really well, like at least 3 or 4 heroes. Like, for example, I know how to play Sand King, Tusk, Nyx. Those are 3 really good roamers that I know how to play. If I need to play offlane, I can play Centaur, I can play Tidehunter, even if I didn't play him recently, but I'm really good with him. You know how to draft, have at least 2 roles that you can play, and have at least 3 or 4 heroes in that you can rely on. Okay, that's the advice I want to give you. And if you do not like if you do think that you just need skill in order to get up, you will always be under your level. Like, if you are, I don't know, like I am a Legend 1, I play ranked, so I don't care about my rank, but I only play party ranked, so I do not care. But let's say that my real rank is Ancient 1. If I do not know how to pick, I might stay at Legend 1, you know. If, for example, let's say that now I'm good at picking. If I were bad at picking, I would be like Archon 3, Archon 2. So that's really, really important. It's part of how you play, it's part of your skill, and never ever say that, oh, I'm just going to go with skill, you know, I'm just going to go Lion mid, play him. No, you will get countered, you will get beaten to the ground by enemies that have as much skill as you, but they will just beat you because they now have 2 or 3 cores even, and you only have 1 because your offlaner is a utility offlaner and your mid is a lion. So your only carry is your anti-mage, for example, and he will get run over by all the whole enemy team. Okay, so now thank you for watching. Try to remember what I said, and because it's a really important topic for me, I really want people to learn how to draft correctly, because it makes the game more interesting. Mainly because you're not going to the drafting phase like, oh yeah, I'm going to play with this guy, he always plays like, I don't know, Earth Spirit, so you know that he's going to play him anyway, even if he gets countered. Or maybe not Earth Spirit, but like Sniper, for example, he always picks Sniper, or Storm Spirit. I have a friend who plays Storm Spirit on the safe lane. So yeah, like, I do not, it hurts a lot when you go into a game and end up like this, and you know that it is going to end up like this. So for your friends, for yourself, learn how to draft, and you will get better. You will get better ranks. I assure you. It's one of the best way to assure that you get up. For example, if you are, I don't know, Legend 3 and you want to get to Ancient, but you are having some difficulty in it, and then you see that you pick Khorne Night Stalker almost every game. Yeah, there's no secret. You can, if you pick good cores, you are going to Ancient. You can just yeah, the job is done. Okay, so thanks for watching, and I'll be doing some more videos about Dota in general. For example, like I think I'm going to work on a Naga video, and about how I think she's not roaming hero, and that it was a mistake to try to force her into this meta, especially like in the last 2 months, 2-3 months. She was picked a lot, not recently, but yeah, she was picked a lot. So I tried to get a video around that. Might be interesting. So please comment what you think. If you think that just picking what you're comfortable with makes you win more, maybe give me some arguments. I'm here for the discussion. So yeah. Now thanks for listening to me, and I'll be seeing you another day. Goodbye.